Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for this webinar about the Montana Cadastral. I'm excited to share this topic with you and excited to introduce you to Kenny Kettner, who, if you have not met him in one way or the other, is one of the members of our team at the State Library. He's the Information Products Manager, which kind of is a vague term to describe what he does because he does so many things for the State Library. But Kenny, thanks so much for sharing information about the cadastral with us today, and take it away.
Hey, thank you, Coley, and I really appreciate your help getting this presentation ready, particularly with making the slides pretty and everything else that you do. So we're lucky to have you, and thank you very much. So let's go ahead and quick introduction. I am Kenny Kettner. I'm the Information Products Lead at the State Library. And what that means really is that my team does applications and systems for the State Library. So our website, our web applications, our ticketing, all kinds of stuff, Aspen, that too. But one of our projects that's kind of a flagship for the State Library is the Montana Cadastral, and that's what we'll be talking about today. Yes, see what I mean about the pretty slides. Thank you again, Coley. So goals for today, as many of you probably know from the news, we are in the property tax rebate period, which runs until October 1st. So I want to leave plenty of time for demonstration and questions. So pretty light on the content leading up to that point. And we want to particularly make sure that you're comfortable helping your patrons with finding their geocode so that they can fill out their property tax rebate form. But first, a quick bit of background on Montana Cadastral. What is it? Well, it is tax information, owner information, deed information, land use. That's what cadastral means. It's a combination of the geospatial parcel information, i.e. where it sits on a map, versus owner information, who owns it, what's it worth, those kind of questions combined together, along with things like county boundaries, state boundaries, etc. You can browse around on the map or use one of the many search options. You can print reports. We've had a statewide cadastral for 25 years now, almost, I think. The most recent version, which many of you are probably familiar with, was up for 12 years, which is a long time for an application to exist in the same form, and it was starting to show its age in many ways. So we needed a new one, and you can access cadastral either by going to gis.mt.gov or cadastral.mt.gov. Why did we need a new one? I mentioned the old application was starting to show its age. Increasingly, we also had a lot of demand for mobile use, and so the new site is mobile friendly. It's built that way. We'd been preparing internally for a change, updating some behind the scenes data service things to make it possible to change. That work took about a year, and then the work on the application took about another year on top of that. Users wanted more functionality than the old site could provide. Again, the mobile issue, wanted different base map base map images, aerial imagery to use. And we had some issues with condominiums and other multi-owner properties on the same spot that we've improved a little bit, and better printing options as well. So what's in the new version? Everything that was in the old version, first of all. With the new version is based off of the Esri Experience Builder product. It's mobile first. We have PDF property reports now, which is a big step up for us. We can also select multiple parcels and run a report on those, which is something the old application did not do. Again, I mentioned the multi-owner properties like condos, townhouses, trailers, and so forth. Some better options there. We have more base map options along with a swipe tool to compare, and we'll show an example of that. And behind the scenes, it's better documented and easier for us to maintain. So I mentioned we're going to be light on the slides, so we're going to switch right to some demonstrations, doing a live demo on Cadastral. What could be better? So we're
I
going to
can't
start.
think of anything more exciting on a
That's
Tuesday
right.
morning, Kenny.
So we're going to start fresh with a new navigation to Cadastral. You're first greeted with our very important legal disclaimer. It is not an authoritative legal source of anything. If you want the authoritative data, you got to go to the county courthouse. You got to go to Department of Revenue. We're just a reference tool. We take the data that Revenue provides, we take our statewide GIS, and we combine it, and it's a best effort. It's pretty good, but it's not legally binding nor suitable for engineering purposes. We also have a little note about the rebate period because we expect high usage. On the opening day, we had about triple our normal traffic to the application. It's calmed down since then, but particularly as the rebate period ends near the end of September, we expect it to get busy again. So there's the good old disclaimer. This is the application is divided into several different pages, which are up here in this menu. We are on the map page to start. The interface is in three parts. There's search options on the left. There's the map in the middle, and then the property information will show up on the right. Let's run through the other pages real quick. There's the data sources page. This explains a little bit about the data. Again, it's Department of Revenue data. It gives a link to the statewide data that you can download if you're a professional user. We make that available. It also links to common forms to remove your information from Cadastral or to correct information, owner information in Cadastral. You have to contact Department of Revenue, and that's specified here. The user guide page is our documentation, again with a reminder of the high volume warning. Covers everything from browser support to how to search, how to quick zoom, how to use the base map tools, etc. So, and users can click the show me how and get an animation showing how to do each of the steps. So we're pretty happy with how our vendor helped us with that. And finally, there's a feedback page. You can open a help desk ticket with our GeoInfo staff at the state library with this link. We have a user survey still running that's probably going to be taken down later in the year. And then we have a frequently asked questions document that's got kind of the latest and greatest info. So those are the pages in the application. Just to keep up, I'm going to make sure we don't get too far ahead of ourselves here. So now we're going to talk about different ways you can search in Cadastral. Most common is probably going to be owner name. So let's find, for example, all the Smiths in Broadwater County. You got to pick a county. We don't have a statewide search, and that's based on the availability of data from the Department of Revenue. So once you hit the search button, a list of candidates comes up, and you can click over here, and it will zoom to that. And as you see on the right side of the screen, the property information has populated. And we're going to look at that in more detail in a moment. What's pretty cool is you can add all the search results to a map, and it will number them, and you can go through them one at a time. We get a lot of realtors that use our application, and they love this sort of thing. So, but it's fun to do just as a regular citizen too. What I did just there was change the base map and to aerial imagery, and now you can kind of click around and make a tour of all the Smiths in Broadwater County. When you're ready to make a new search, you just hit new search. I want to point out that it does repeat the county for you. We had that requested. That's a recent change. So the other things you can search for, geocode, if you have one handy. Usually this is what people are coming here to find during the property tax rebate period. But you would type in the geocode here and it would go directly to it. Address, let's see. I promised Coley I would try to use the state library address for an address search, and here we are. Hey, you can even see my truck in the parking lot. How about that?
It's so exciting.
That's pretty exciting. Yeah, I don't know when this picture was taken, but there you go. So that's the state library, and that's how the address search works. You just type the address in, you get a list of candidates, and then you click on the candidate that you want, and it zooms you to it. You will want to confirm that the property information you pull up is of that address, because we have found some cases where the maps and the property information are so far out of alignment that you get a different property. So you want to double check that and confirm that it matches over here. And if once you're on the map too, you can click around and find other properties as well. I'll back up and put in a geocode here since I just pasted the one from the state library. So if you were to search a geocode, it would zoom you right to it. Okay. The other search options are kind of more for real estate professionals, most likely. You can search by an entire subdivision. You have to pick a county, and then it populates the list of subdivisions in that county. Sometimes it takes a minute. So in the interest of time, I'll probably move on before waiting for that to populate. Also, assessment code or certificate of survey are search options. But I would say by far the most common are owner name and address. So let's move on to our next batch of demos and look at some more about the property information. So these are also expandable, collapsible, by the way. So I'm going to collapse that one and expand this one to make it a little easier to see. On the property information, it's by tax year. And you get the 3 most recent tax years is what's normally provided by Department of Revenue. And it's an important detail for this property tax rebate that you'll want to select the 2023 tax year, because that's what you're applying for. 2024 is not final necessarily, and there could be significant changes from one year to another, although for most people in a home, it's going to be the same year to year. So there's different sections. There's a summary pane, and then there's an owner's pane, appraisals, market land information, dwellings, which there aren't any on the state library, but most things will have a dwelling, other buildings, commercial, quite a bit on that one, and then ag forest land, which in town you're probably not going to see that. But importantly, that's where things like easements would be listed. You can get to the property details page by clicking this button here. And that gives you our Cadillac property report here. It's got a map of it, followed by all the information that's in the panes I just showed you. And you can print the report from here or on the previous screen as well. And when you do that, it'll generate a PDF for you, which I will point out includes a clickable link that takes you right back to that property. That's a new feature in this new cadastral. So just to remind you, this print button here does the same thing as what we just saw on the property details page. If you're looking at multiple properties, let's go Lewis and Clark and find all the Smiths. Oh, that might be too many Smiths.
There's a few Smiths who have large amounts of property held in.
That's
Lewis
true.
Park
Yeah,
County.
I should have picked a different county. Yeah, sometimes it can take a minute. Yeah, 400 results. Wow. But yeah, if we if we add all those to the map, I mentioned you can page through them. You can also print selected parcels. So rather than doing that report with all 400, I'm holding shift and dragging a box. And actually, I'm just going to abandon this and just pick a few properties by clicking. Uh-huh.
So that's just a click and
Yeah.
drag over multiple
Yeah.
properties.
No, and I'm doing that wrong. So you have to use the selection tool at the bottom here. That's what I'm trying to find. There we go. That's why I had to hide the zoom notice. It was covering my controls. So here I have selected 3 properties, and I can do a print selected parcels on those, and it will make a PDF listing those again with a clickable link to each one. And I like how it puts the disclaimer on all of our reports too. We get complaints about that, but the disclaimer's got to be there. So anyway, that's how the multiple property report works in Cadastral. So let's move on to some of the map tools. My favorite part of the demo personally. If you need to reset the application, you can always just click Montana Cadastral at the top and that starts you over. So let's talk about these controls on the maps here. We've got the quick zoom tool, which has several new options. You can do reservations now, which the old app could not do. You can zoom to cities, counties. You can do township, range, and section. And new as of 2 weeks ago, you can do longitude and latitude zoom. So if I do like, this should be in the state of Montana somewhere, I think. Let's see. No, I was way off. Yeah, I don't know where it put me. Start over, but yeah, you can zoom to latitude and longitude now. Very happy about that functionality. The base map gallery, as I mentioned, you can change what the current base map is from something out of this list. The base map is what goes underneath kind of the bottom layer of a map. If you think about a map as like several layers stacked on top of each other, this would be the one on the bottom. So if we want NAPE 2005 here, just zoom in a little bit more. Actually, I'll go ahead and do my capital trick. Start at the state library. There we go. Although in 2005, it was clearly something else.
This is why I'm captivated by this,
Yeah,
because in 2005, that's when that building made a transition from a convenience store to an
right.
office building.
Yeah, back when we were a gas station, this is what it looked like. So then I'm going to switch to the second base map here and then change it to be 2021 imagery. There we go. I don't know why the nape's so blurry today, but yeah, you can see now I've set my two base maps that I'm toggling back and forth between here. But now we can do one more and turn on the swipe tool here. And we can swipe back and forth and see the difference on one screen. Let me turn that off for a second because it's very striking. If you go to the state capitol, you can really tell the difference. So we're just walking up the street here to the Capitol steps. There we go. And you'll note here there's no flags. And then we turn on the swipe tool. Oh no, there is flags here, but you can see in the past there was not. So kind of neat. It's fun to do that with your own property and see what changed over time. You can print the map here, and that's sort of the built-in ArcGIS print functionality. And then lastly, we've added the legend, which is for that Montana cadastral base map, the color coding on that, what all that means for the parcels. Some of the other controls, we have a full screen mode, which people are happy about. We have a measurement tool. Very cool.
Is there any disclaimer on the accuracy of the measurement, or it's fairly accurate?
I think it's covered by the overall disclaimer, but it is the built-in Esri measure tool. It does pretty good, honestly. We have the if not a lot of people know this, but if you hold right click and turn the map, you can get turned around. And if you click this, it resets north to up, which is important when you're working with a mapping application. And of course, we've got the zoom in and out, and then the home button takes you back to the statewide extent of the map here. And then we also recently added the latitude, longitude coordinates at the bottom. So that is all the, oops, excuse me. If I click this, yeah, so that was all the kind of the functionality of the app I wanted to showcase. Now I want to take a few minutes and focus just on the rebate stuff. You'll probably be asked to find a geocode or help your patrons find a geocode. They were probably starting at mtrevenue.gov, which is the Department of Revenue, and going to the apply for the rebate card, and that takes them to this page here. And they have some good instructions there about how to find your geocode in Montana Cadastral, which are these, and they're pretty good. We also put out a knowledge base article about finding a geocode, and it's much the same, but it's in our knowledge base. But yeah, just to go through those steps again real quick, and then we have a few minutes for questions. Let's start fresh here. I'm going to pick on my colleagues and look for the Fasciaways house, because I rent. I don't own my house, so otherwise I'd search for my own. So we put in their name. Again, I like to use just the last name and select from the results. That way you get the broadest possible list, because you never know how it's typed in exactly. So in this case, we had one result. You might check the imagery, make sure, yep, that's my house. You'll want to come over to the property information, make sure it's the correct address again, just to double check. Make sure that it's tax year 2023 by changing it there. And then what you need is this geocode right here. And you can just right click copy. And then that goes into the form that you fill out on the Department of Revenue site, which I believe you get to from this apply for the rebate form. And so right off the bat, asking you for just your social security number and your geocode right off the bat. Not so much as a hello. Anyway, let's open it up for questions.
Thank you. Yeah, if anyone has a question, please feel free to unmute, or if you're shy or don't have a microphone, you can add those to the chat. I'll take a look at those. I am adding a few links in the chat here for you to provide an evaluation, and then also the 2 links for the information that Kenny just shared are in the chat as well, for you to be able to open up and take a look at those.
And
So
let me
yeah.
just reiterate as well, I'm happy to answer questions afterward. If you want to email me, that's the best way to get a hold of me. It's just kkettner@mt.gov.
Evan or Melody, anyone, if you'd like to throw a stumper Kenny's way. Sorry,
Thanks,
Kenny.
thanks,
That was
Coley.
good timing. Sorry,
Yeah,
that was great timing.
yeah, I did to spit my coffee all over my computer. That was close, though.
Sorry. Well, we like to inject some levity here in our MSL webinars, so
Yeah.
that's perfect. Awesome.
No, I feel like library professionals are familiar with this application and have been using it a long time. So this is really just a refresher. And I also want to say thank you for helping us help the public get their property tax rebates with this rather confusing sometimes process. So I appreciate it.
That is awesome. Well, with that, Kenny, if you wouldn't mind clicking through a couple slides there. I've got the
Mhm.
evaluation link in the chat. And then if we go forward, a couple more, next one. The recording will be in the YouTube channel later today. And then I do have a couple of changes to the September webinar schedule. So that's on the next slide. And if you want to just check that Aspen calendar, we're going to do a short session on Aspen itself. We're going to do a feature of the virtual program for the Lego Challenge. And then we're starting off a collection management and technical services series with a panel on children's collections and changes that boosted engagement in 2 Montana communities. So those are coming up here in the next couple of weeks. So thank you so much, Kenny, and thanks all for attending. And we hope that you'll join us in the future for these next sessions.